Hi everyone, this is my 8th episode of my podcast, The Weird Sports Show, hosted by me, Nick Fouts. And this week I wanted to talk about one of the weirdest sports stories ever, in my opinion, Scottie Scheffler's arrest right before the PGA Championship at Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville in 2024. And I also wanted to make a prediction for the upcoming PGA Championship in Philly at Mink, the Mink as people call it, for this weekend, and it's going on right now as I'm recording this podcast, and let's get into it. So, Scottie Scheffler, world number one. At the time, he was the world number one. I think he's number 2 right now, or number 1. He's around there right now, but a lot of people didn't quite really know him. They knew him, but he was a great player. Obviously, he won a Masters. I believe he won a PGA at that point. Maybe he didn't, but he was a very accomplished golfer, and he's done a lot of winning since and then. But people were kind of, mixed bag. They didn't really know a lot about him. A lot of people called him, and I quote, the most boring golfer, the most boring number 1 golfer ever. And it kind of felt unfair because people didn't really know him, and he was still pretty new, but he was still championship level golfer. But opinions changed clearly, and it started off with this story. So right before the second round of the PGA tournament, Scottie Scheffler got arrested on the way to Valhalla, the golf club, and he was in a marked car approaching the course when there was a tragic accident hours earlier, unfortunately. A shuttle bus had struck and killed a PGA vendor employee around 5 a.m. Now, his tee time was around 8, maybe a little earlier, but he wanted to get in there early to warm up and do that. But this tragic accident, unfortunately, people had to bypass it. It backed up a lot of vehicles, and it was a traffic hazard, but he was in a marked car, so he thought, I can just go around this and get in because I'm one of the top golfers in the world. I'm supposed to be at this tournament at this time. I'm fine to leave. It ended up being a miscommunication, and here's what happened. So, according to the police report, Scheffler allegedly swerved into opposing traffic to bypass the backed-up vehicles at 5 a.m. before sunrise in Valhalla in Louisville, and a detective named Brian Gillis attempted to stop them, but claimed Scheffler refused to comply and accelerated forward, dragging the officer to the ground, and I quote. Gillis reported also suffering pain and swelling and abrasions to his left wrist and knee, and was taken to the hospital. Now, this is, if true, this was a crazy thing that happened. Very weird, and what, that's never happened before. No one's been arrested before a major, before their golf tournament, and it was wild. ESPN reporter Jeff Darlington, who covers the NFL, golf, among other things, captured on video Scheffler's arrest and detention. When Darlington tried to intervene, the officer reportedly responded with, and I quote, "There's nothing you can do, he's going to jail." Now, Darlington was trying to be hey, this is a miscommunication. Scheffler needs, he needs to get there, there's no need to arrest this man. He's fine. He didn't do anything wrong. Allegedly, he didn't do anything wrong. So it was supposed to be a miscommunication. But this Gillis, he was insistent on arresting Scheffler anyway. I don't know what happened, but he was insisted on it. So Scheffler eventually got charged with second-degree assault of the police officer, criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding signals from an officer and directing traffic, which a laundry list of charges for just a miscommunication. It seems like a lot. And at the time, it went very viral. It was crazy. There were a lot of viral moments from this story, and there were so many I couldn't even pick them. Whether it was Scheffler warming up there's a video of Scheffler warming up in his jail cell, doing calisthenics and stuff, which was hilarious. He's doing like lunges and like squats, and it's like, I think he was doing maybe even some yoga. It was unbelievable. It was really funny. Was he doing downward dog? He might have been. Anyway, he was doing basically a warm-up that he normally does probably on the course or probably in a training room. Instead, he's doing it in the jail cell. And then also, there's a viral... So the police released his mugshot. And fans started wearing t-shirts that weekend of his mugshot, and it went viral, and everyone was like, this guy's a legend. Like, what? What the heck? Like, people couldn't believe that the most boring golfer in the world got arrested before the second round of a PGA tournament. Couldn't believe it, let alone a major. And Scheffler eventually got released at 9 a.m. He would have missed his tee time anyway because of the car accident, and the tournament got delayed because of that fatal car accident. But he got released at 9 a.m. and had to... Luckily, I think he had a quick warm-up. Yeah, he had a quick warm-up, but he didn't really get to warm up. And clearly, most people, when they go through something very crazy and traumatic, like, it's very interesting to see how they respond. And his response was unbelievable. The most impressive part of the situation, in my opinion, is on the course, he birdied the first hole and then shot 4 under 66 after getting arrested that same day. So it just shows you the true resilience and championship mindset that guy has. He's almost robotic. It's insane. He has continued to do that, but that day he somehow did it, and I couldn't believe it. And it's such a weird story because, who would have thought a PGA Tour #1 player would get arrested before an event? Like, it's happened in the NFL, with Tyreek Hill, or others, maybe in the NBA it's happened, I'm not quite sure, but like, I would have predicted other sports before golf, but not only was it a golfer, professional golfer, it was the #1 player in the world, which crazy. During the press conference after his round, he was also extremely poised as well, didn't make any excuses, was visibly shaken, however, but he didn't blame officers. He showed a lot of grace, and I think that's one of the craziest parts about the story is, like, if he went scorched earth on the law enforcement, no one really would have blamed him because it was all a misunderstanding. And there's video evidence later that proved that he didn't do anything wrong, and the officer conveniently didn't have his body camera on during the incident. So it was a little wild, crazy situation, and the fact that he was able to move past that and have the mindset to shoot a 66 and somehow get through the round after being arrested, like, is unbelievable, and just shows you what kind of competitor he is. And yeah, the mayor of Louisville said that he acknowledged the arresting officer didn't have his body camera on during the incident, which is amazing and frankly crazy. Like, what are we doing? Videos released in subsequent days appeared to contradict the key elements of the official police report. So a lot of the accusatory charges by the detective weren't actually true. He didn't comply. He did comply. He didn't accelerate forward very fast. He didn't drag the officer to the ground. There was rumors that he like the officer was getting pulled by his car, and that didn't happen. All of it was a complete misunderstanding that didn't make any sense, which is why it's so crazy and why I picked the story. Another weird little nugget of information about this story. Detective Gillis claimed Scheffler had ruined his $80 pants during the encounter. Come on. That's just ridiculous. All charges were dropped eventually 12 years later. 12 days later, excuse me. So it didn't really matter, but it made Scottie Scheffler a household name for sure. I think everyone knew after this incident, everyone knew who he was. Everyone didn't call him boring anymore. Everyone fell in love with him, actually. It made him a hero. People were chanting "Free Scotty" on the 10th green as he was hitting his first shot of the day after going through that traumatic event. It was unreal, and it was really fun, and he eventually, didn't have a great round the next day. He had a third round 73, so he didn't, and then he eventually rebounded Sunday with a 65 to secure another top 10 finish. He didn't end up winning the tournament, but the fact that he finished top 10 and made the cut after getting arrested is frankly one of the most impressive feats in golf history, in my opinion. Like, it's crazy to get arrested and then have the mindset to flip a switch to eventually have a great round and get yourself ready and somehow be in contention for a major. It's fascinating, and it did not derail his season. He went on to win 5 more tournaments in 2024 because he's Scottie Scheffler. He's the boogeyman. He's dominant. He does his thing, including a gold medal in Paris, which not a lot of golfers had. They've only been doing it since 2016. And I think it's Xander Schauffele and John Rahm and Scottie Scheffler are the only 3 golfers to ever have an Olympic gold medal in the present. I believe the Olympics had golf at one point. But in the modern Olympic era, those 3 have an Olympic gold medal. And then he also won his first FedEx Cup championship, earning PGA Tour Player of the Year, which might be the annual PGA Tour Player of the Year at this rate. He's become as dominant as any golfer ever. He's just a step below Tiger and Jack Nicklaus, in my opinion, in dominance, but he's getting up there. He's racking up majors, and he eventually won the PGA Championship in 2025. And then he also won the British Open as well last year, 2025. So he's had an amazing run. This incident in no way derailed his career at all. He, if anything, became more of a household name and got maybe better. And then also, with the birth of his 2 kids, it seemed that motivated him even more. So this guy is as resilient as anyone. And the fact that he was arrested and still managed to show up and ball out is crazy. With that story, Scottie Scheffler has proven time and time again, championship mindset, he's the best. And yeah. So I'm going to get into this year's championship, this year's PGA Championship in 2026 at the Mink in Philadelphia, just outside Philadelphia, and some of my picks. So people are saying that if you drive the ball very, very well, most of the holes are straight. If you drive the ball straight and far, you're going to do well in this golf course. So that's why I think Cam Young will be my winner. If I had to choose, I would choose Cam Young because I think he can drive it as well as anyone. He was very close at the Masters. He's been close throughout, won the Players, has won a tournament since, and I think he's due. I think it's his time. I think either he wins this tournament or he wins one of the next 2, or both. You never know. And then I have 2 dark horses. They've played really well lately, and I think they might shock some people. They're a little further down on like the odds to win the tournament on DraftKings and stuff. But I got Russell Henley. He's had a really good year. He played really well at the Masters. Got a top 5 finish. And Minwoo Lee, just a legend. I think he's one of the up-and-coming golfers. Even though he's had a great career, I think he's a potential dark horse that could win this tournament for sure. He can get hot. And he smokes 6 on the course, which is hilarious. He's a great personality as well. So those are my picks. That's Weird Sports Show. Signed off for today. Thanks for listening. and like and subscribe to the channel. It's growing weirdos. And have a great weekend and enjoy some golf.